In 1912, a 72-year-old woman walked into a concert hall in Boston wearing a white headband with the words, "Oh, you Red Sox," printed across it. The Boston Symphony Orchestra almost had a collective aneurysm. This wasn't a protest. It wasn't a publicity stunt. It was just Iza-bella Stewart Gardner's Tuesday. She was the original main character. A woman who made Boston's blue-blooded elite clutch their pearls so hard they probably turned back into diamonds. But here's the question that should make you want to throw your smartphone into the harbor. How does a woman who treated high society like a pinata end up with a museum so psychologically impenetrable that it held 13 masterpieces right up until the moment they vanished into thin air? The answer involves a fake mustache, a middle finger to the Federal Bureau of Investigation that has lasted for over 30 years, and an art collection that was effectively a tomb for one woman's massive ego. Welcome to the single largest unsolved art heist in human history. Before we talk about the guys in the fake mustaches, we have to talk about Isabella. Born in 1840, she arrived in Boston and realized the local aristocracy had the personality of a damp brick. They hated her. She was too loud, too rich, and far too fond of showing up to formal events in outfits that looked like she had mugged a Venetian courtesan. They called her Donna Isabella behind her back, a nickname meant to be an insult to her flamboyance. Isabella didn't care. She leaned into it. She turned her life into a 19th century version of going viral. When she lost her only child at 2 years old, Isabella decided that polite society could go screw itself. She took her husband's fortune and started a global shopping spree that would make a modern billionaire feel inadequate. She wasn't just buying paintings, she was hoarding souls. She befriended artists like John Singer Sargent and Anders Zorn, essentially using them as high-end interior decorators for the palace she was building in her head. She was the original influencer, but instead of Instagram filters, she used the Boston Symphony Orchestra and a collection of Rembrandts to make everyone else feel small. By 1898, Isabella was building her museum, but it wasn't for the public. It was a monument to her taste, and she had rules, divine, unchangeable rules. Rule number 1, nothing leaves the building, ever. Rule number 2, the arrangement of the art is the art. You don't move a Vermeer next to a Sargent because you're doing a curatorial exploration. You keep them where she put them, or you get cursed from the grave. She died in 1924, leaving behind a fortress of high culture and scandalous gossip. For decades, the museum sat there, a time capsule of one woman's refusal to be boring. People visited, they stared at the Titians. They looked at the only Vermeer in America and they thought, wow, what a nice collection. They didn't realize they were looking at a bomb with a 66-year fuse. Because Isabella had spent her life making enemies of the establishment, and eventually, the establishment, or at least the criminal underbelly of it, came for her throne. March 18, 1990, St. Patrick's Day weekend. Boston is drunk. The cops are drunk. The security guards at the Gardner are, well, they are technically awake. At 1:24 in the morning, 2 men in police uniforms showed up at the side entrance. They claimed they were responding to a disturbance. The guards, who had been trained to let cops in to do exactly that, opened the door. This was the collapse. This was the moment where the documentary calm meets absolute carnage. The officers weren't there to protect and serve. They were there to perform a forensic autopsy on Isabella's legacy. They handcuffed the guards, wrapped their heads in duct tape, and led them to the basement. Then, for the next 81 minutes, they walked through the museum like they were shopping at a grocery store with a stolen credit card. They didn't take the easy stuff. They went for the jugular. They cut Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee out of its frame. They took a Manet. They took a Degas. They even took a bronze eagle from the top of a Napoleonic flag. Why? Because they could. Here is the detail that breaks your brain. They bypassed the room with the Titians, the big ones, The ones worth the most on the open market, they walked right past them. Why? Because they weren't just thieves. One theory, the one the FBI actually looks at, says that a Boston gangster named Bobby Donati organized the heist to negotiate for his boss's release from prison. Donati was murdered 1 year after the robbery. The art vanished into the underworld, becoming a currency that no one can actually spend. The FBI has been chasing leads for over 30 years. They've offered a $10 million reward. They've tracked rumors from Ireland to Japan. And every single day, they have to drive past the museum and see those empty frames still hanging on the wall. Isabella's rules state that the frames cannot be filled with anything else, so they hang there, like a century-old middle finger to every investigator who ever tried to solve the case. It is a masterpiece of dark irony. The art is gone, but the arrangement remains perfect. Because she was the original internet troll, she understood that attention isn't about what you have, it's about what you deny people. She denied Boston the right to ignore her. She denied the art world the right to rehang her collection. And then, from beyond the grave, she denied the world the satisfaction of seeing those paintings again. Iza-bella Stewart Gardner didn't just build a museum. She built a trap for history. The thieves didn't just steal paintings. They stole the one thing Isabella valued more than the art itself, the stir. Today, we live in an age of influencers who would kill for 1% of Isabella's main character energy. We trade in digital pixels and temporary fame, but Isabella traded in Rembrandts and permanent silence. The final punchline: the paintings are likely rotted, buried in some mobster's basement, or hanging in the villa of a man who can never show them to anyone. The ultimate irony of art is that it's only valuable if you can show it off. By stealing them, they made the art worthless, and by leaving the frames empty, Isabella made her museum priceless. History isn't a textbook. It's a parade of people who forgot that you can't outrun the algorithm of your own ego. Subscribe if you enjoy watching dead people make terrible decisions. It makes our own modern stupidity feel a little more sophisticated. The frames are empty, the thieves are dead, and Isabella is still laughing.